Côte d'Ivoire for a statement, and I now give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. First and foremost, we thank Jamila Afghani for her very open speech. Jamila, we know very well that by helping women, we're helping the whole of Afghanistan. We also welcome our brave UN women who are at the helm of this global organization. The Deputy Secretary General Amina Mohammed, as well as Rosemary DiCarlo for their briefings. It's very important that they visited Afghanistan and that they've received information firsthand. Your visit to the country and the Security Council mission to Kabul in January 2018 confirmed that the situation in the country isn't just difficult, the situation is critical. The country is being shaken by large-scale, bloodthirsty terrorist acts, including in Kabul. The number of victims among civilians is increasing, including women and children, and also among Afghan military and police forces. Their sacrifice in the fight against terrorism is something that we recognize and we greatly esteem. We need to coordinate measures to cut this harmful tendency. We're seriously concerned by the presence of the terrorist organization ISIL in Afghanistan. There have been successes among the Afghan security forces, but nonetheless the fighters continue to strengthen their position, including in the north and south of the country, filling their ranks with foreign terrorist fighters moving from elsewhere, from Syria and Iraq. We're also concerned by the diversification by ISIL of their methods and channels of recruitment of young people. The terrorist threat is inextricably linked with the drugs problem, which represents a serious threat to Afghanistan itself and to the region and the world. Drug dollars are providing financial support to terrorism. We think it's very important that we continue and we increase international efforts to fight this scourge. We draw attention to the professional operation and measures that are being undertaken through the CSTO in the fight against drug trafficking. Russia will facilitate Afghanistan's establishment as a peaceful, independent and flourishing state that is not the source for either a terrorist or a drug threat. We intend to continue to provide assistance to our Afghan friends in uprooting causes of threats to security, including those coming from ISIL and Al-Qaeda, and we aim to help strengthen the potential of civilian security and anti-drug structures. There is a difficult military and political situation in Afghanistan, but nonetheless we see that there is an opening window of opportunity for a peaceful settlement and for national reconciliation with the participation of the broadest possible range of public and political forces in the country. At this stage, around the regulation of the situation, there is coalescing international assistance. We think that this is a step in the right direction. We are convinced that this process shouldn't be turned into a Vanity Fair and into a political competition. Our common objective is to maintain a unified, indivisible, ethnically diverse Afghan state, which represents equal opportunities for all groups in the population, including women. Russia consistently supports the Afghan people's endeavors to establish a long-term peace. We have a genuine interest in promoting an Afghan-led and Afghan-owned peace and reconciliation process and the subsequent stabilization of the country. A peaceful, stable and flourishing Afghanistan is our common objective. We are ready to continue to provide assistance for this. And with this in mind, we are guided by this in carrying out our own efforts in this track when we organise the second meeting in the Moscow format of consultations in November 2018. This included the participation of a maximum number of interested parties. And there we provided a forum for intra-Afghan discussion with a delegation of the Taliban in May this year as well. We greatly esteem our constructive and trustworthy relations with the people and political forces in Afghanistan, who are aiming to develop things towards peace. We support the line of giving the peace process in Afghanistan the maximum possible inclusivity and involving in it all of the different public political forces in the country, including women, and we are convinced that it is a broad discussion that is the key to peace in Afghanistan. We welcome the fact that the intra-Afghan dialogue in Moscow in February, that for the first time brought women, leading political figures and the Taliban around the same table, was then developed on in Doha on the 7th and 8th of July. We know that a great contribution in this meeting was made by Germany in calling this meeting. This round showed the genuine intentions of all Afghan people to achieve peace and reconciliation. We are satisfied that, as in both in Moscow and in Doha, the participants adopted an outcome document that reflected their intention to continue moving consistently to an intra-Afghan peace. There is a successful channel in providing assistance to Afghanistan, and we'd like to highlight here the format of trilateral consultations at special representative level between Russia, the United States, and the People's Republic of China. These meetings took place in Washington in March, in Moscow in April, and in Beijing in July. It is important that at an outcome of these meetings in Moscow and Beijing, there was a joint statement which was just expressed or just conveyed to us in detail by my Chinese colleague. We welcome the inclusion of Pakistan in these consultations with the Troika, and we are confident that important constructive role can be played by Iran. And in the whole, including regional players in this format would have a beneficial impact on developing solutions to the post-conflict order in Afghanistan, because only an atmosphere of good neighbourliness and cooperation will allow us to solve the acute problems in modern Afghanistan. We are convinced that we need to move forward on Afghanistan using the tried and tested structures, and we see great potential in the contact group of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization with Afghanistan, as well as in the counter-terrorism and anti-drugs cooperation between Afghanistan and the CSTO. Mr. President, Afghanistan is on the threshold of presidential elections that are planned for September. We think that these elections should be a powerful consolidating factor for Afghan society. And on the whole, the criteria for unification should be defined not only in the holding of elections, but also through efforts to achieve national reconciliation. It is this approach that will allow us to strengthen the dignified status of women, which has always been and will remain not only a decoration in modern Afghanistan, but will be an embodiment of the bravery of the whole Afghan people in fighting terrorism, in politics and diplomacy, in journalism, in parliamentarianism, in national reconciliation, and in social and economic reconstruction of the country, which is, and when this is something we shouldn't forget, this is a situation that faces serious challenges, and therefore any steps towards the future in Afghanistan should be acceptable for all of the Afghan people, including women. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of the Russian Federation for his